All right, away we go. We're here at Levi's Stadium. Larry Kruger with you on the Krug Show after preseason game number 3. We normally do a full-on round table, but Kev's partying with his buddies in Japan, and everybody else is kind of sitting it out. But JD is in the house. He will be joining us in a little bit. I will share with you some of my thoughts on tonight's game. We'll talk all about it coming up next. But let's go. Come aboard. We got a lot to get to. The final preseason game. Who's going to be on the final 53-man roster? Let's go. All right, away we go. Welcome to the Krug Show, though I'm not hearing anything there. Still, let's see here. Let me check the mic, check the audio one more time here. Make sure I can hear everybody. So let's see. Here, hold on. Everybody, sit tight. Sit tight. Let's see. Okay. Don't hear that. Let's check the mic. And 54321, 54321. You guys can hear me, right? Everything good? Everything good on the mic? Can you guys can hear me? You guys can hear me? Can you guys hear me? If you guys can hear me, say so in the chat. Because there's no there. Yes. All I hear is yes. We hear you fine. Oh, good. Okay. All right. Well, welcome to the Krug Show, brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out. So get there early, get some brisket chili. We're also brought to you by Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California, on the Monterey Peninsula. Thanks to Anthony Catania. He's at 831-521-5264. And we're brought to you by Claw Daddy Arcades. And you see their logo at the top of the screen. They're a great follow on Instagram at claw_daddy_arcades to find a location near you. All right. 49ers, interesting game tonight. In a way, it was like two games because the first game, the first half of the game, the 49ers couldn't really do anything. I mean, the stats at halftime, the Chargers had 220 yards. The Niners had 68 yards. So obviously that's not good. 68 total yards of offense in the first half is not good. The good news is the defense played pretty well. Sky Moore was solid as a return guy today. You know, the story of today, I think a couple stories. One, I don't know who's going to be the backup quarterback, but Tanner Mordecai looked better than Carter Bradley. I don't know if Mordecai is going to be the starting quarterback. Bradley was 8 of 14 for 71 yards with a touchdown. Mordecai was 10 of 13 for 103 yards and a touchdown. Mordecai had a rating of 124.8, where Bradley's was 94.6. So Mordecai, I thought, played better today for sure. That was one. Two, I didn't think Isaac Guerrero looked very good. I mean, Isaac Guerrero, 1.6 yards per carry. And it wasn't like the Niners had a lot of success running the ball. 2.5 yards a carry. Niners ran it 33 times, but 33 times for 83 yards. Mordecai was the only guy who had good numbers as far as his average per carry, but Jeff Wilson, 3.7 a carry. He had a couple really nice blocks, and he did score a touchdown. 11 carries for 41 yards for Wilson. But overall, none of the Niner running backs really looked good. Guerrero looked bad, I thought. 8 carries for 13 yards? That's just awful. Just truly awful. Demarcus Robinson had a touchdown. He made a beautiful catch in the end zone on a bullet from Mordecai. Robbie Chosen caught 3 balls. Sky Moore caught 3 balls for 19 yards. So that was good on 6 targets, though. So there were some decent things to look at there. But, overall, I mean, I thought this was the end of the road for Junior Bergen. I mean, Junior Bergen, muffed a punt. I mean, that right there. I mean, he was sitting at his locker in the locker room on the phone with somebody, probably a family member, maybe his agent. And I just felt bad for him because it just, it's like they traded for Sky Moore, and obviously Sky Moore is a significantly more accomplished return man, and and he's a a dual threat. He's a dual return guy. So, there's a lot to like about him. I just don't know with Sky Moore, how special he is, but he's better than Bergen. So, you got Bergen, you got Sky Moore, and I kind of feel like Sky Moore is going to beat out Bergen. Now, there's a lot of talk around the press box here around what's going to happen at the wide receiver position. I got to think a major announcement is coming at wide receiver. The 49ers are just so banged up wide receiver wise. It's like, who's going to be the wide receivers for this team? You think of the team and the roster right now and the depth chart at wide receiver. It's like most teams keep 5 or 6. Ayuk's out. Pearsall's there. Jennings, we have no idea about, and we'll talk about Jennings because to me, Jennings' Instagram post is really interesting. And then you've got Gage with an MCL sprain, Jordan Watkins with a high ankle sprain, Jacob Cowing with a recurrence of the hamstring, and it sounds like he's going to be out a while. I would say Watkins is probably going to be out for a good chunk going forward because it's the same injury that he's had, and he just had a recurrence of it. So, Cowing's out, Watkins is out, Gage is out, Ayuk's out, Jennings is out. So, I mean, Tariq Owens had a touchdown today, but I don't think he's NFL. So you've got Pearsall and you've got Sky Moore and Robbie Chosen. And then, Isaiah Hodgins, Malik Turner, Junior Bergen, Malik Knowles. I mean, I think the 49ers need to add a receiver. I mean, I don't think there's any doubt about that. They probably need to add 2 receivers. And I don't know what's going to happen with Juwan Jennings, but, I'll read to you guys what Jennings put out on his social media. He's quoting it's lyrics from a song, so lyrics from Offset, a song called Move On. He said, you effed around with the wrong dude. Hope your next N be good, be great. So that's what he put on his Instagram. Obviously it's a quote from a song, but I mean, it's, and lyrics from a song, but I mean, it doesn't sound like JJ's happy. And, it doesn't seem like there's a solution here. I don't see a solution. I really don't. I don't see a short-term solution that is going to make him happy. I don't see a long-term solution that's going to make the Niners happy. The Niners are not going. I mean, first of all, let's just go through this logically. If he has a legit calf injury, why on earth would you give him a long-term extension? Why? Because you don't have enough hurt, overpaid wide receivers. I mean, so you can't do that. And then I don't think the Niners really want to set the precedent of ripping up a $7.5 million contract this year. I don't think Drew Rosenhaus has any interest in doing any kind of a contract that takes JJ off the free agent market next March. So if you can't give him an extension and rip up his deal this year, and you can't give him a short-term extension, the only thing that's left is to either trade him or give him a big money long-term extension. And even if they like him, I mean, the fact that he's got this hamstring injury, I guess the only thing that could satisfy me would be if they signed him to a long-term deal and they said, oh, the calf was not real, but they're saying the calf is real. So if the calf injury is real, then why would you, and he's had it since April, why would you sign him to an extension, when he still has the calf injury in August? So, I mean, he's got them over a barrel because they need him. But then I also think he's playing his cards really poorly because he should have gotten in the best shape of his life, shown up in camp, and prepared himself to have a monster September. Because if he had a monster September, then he could have an okay October and November and probably still have a great statistical year and cash out next March to the tune of 3 years, 50 million with 25 million guaranteed. I mean, if I'm Jawan Jennings, that's what I want. I want 3 years, 50 million with 25 million guaranteed. That's what I'm going to feed my family on for the rest of my life. That's the contract that I'm seeking. So I don't get it. I don't understand his plan. I mean, I understand he wants it now, but the Niners say the timing's all wrong, and he's under contract for $7.5 million. All he's done is sat out training camp and made it really likely that he's going to have some kind of a soft tissue injury in September. And then you're going to, when this team really needs him is right now, right now. So if he can't play because of the calf injury and that's what the team is holding to, well, that's bad news and then bad luck for him because they need him right now. So I don't know what the situation is going to be. It's like he could just say, hey, you know what? My calf injury isn't feeling good. It's not feeling good enough to let me play. And then if he says that it's not good enough to let me for me to play, then who's going to say that he's wrong? So I mean, he could sit out a big chunk of the year with, just do the minimum. And the only reason it's worth discussing is because, he's a significant player. Two, it was Mooney Ward who last month said that when the Niners told him last year that he was not going to get a big money long-term extension, that he kind of shut it down, that he was kind of done at that point, that he really wasn't interested in the season. He lost his enthusiasm. And if that's Mooney saying that, maybe JJ's feeling the same way. So, and then he's a very powerful presence. Do you want an unhappy Jawan Jennings in your room? I would think that you wouldn't want wouldn't want an unhappy Jawan Jennings in the room. So, it's a very difficult situation. And what do you do? And so I don't know what you do. I mean, do you trade for a receiver? Do you trade Jennings? Do you trade Jennings for another receiver? What exactly do you do to, to try to get Jennings to, you need Jennings to, you need him to win. I mean, he's one of your best receivers. You got to have him. You got to have Jawan Jennings. So I don't know what they're going to do. I really don't. You guys see the receiving core. If you guys have ideas, we got this one from James Foster. I think it's kind of interesting. He says trade JJ to Tennessee for Chig Okonkwo. He's talking about the tight end. It's funny you said that, James, because I was sitting next to Todd Husak, the former Stanford quarterback, in the press box tonight as we were watching the game. And, I said to Todd, I said, you know what? They ought to call Tennessee and flip Jennings there for the rookie, Alec Ayamanor from Stanford, who the Niners had a lot of interest in the draft. He's a younger receiver. I mean, obviously, JJ's better than Ayamanor. Ayamanor is a prospect. JJ is a real player. But, I mean, you've got a Tennessee team. Jawan Jennings is a star in Tennessee. I mean, he might put butts in the seats if he played for the Tennessee Titans. So I kind of feel like Tennessee is the perfect spot to send him. And Alec Ayamanor is a young receiver, and I don't know that that's exactly what the Niners would need right now. Heck, if I were the Niners, I'd rather have Calvin Ridley, but who's also on that team. But I don't know what the Niners are going to do. But I do think something big is coming at the receiver position. We've got this one from Jedi. He says, send him to Detroit for Williams. Talking about Jameson Williams. I would do that. I absolutely would do that. I mean, Jameson Williams has injury issues, but he's a home run hitter. He's a vertical threat. I mean, there's no question. He's a down the field guy. I would say maybe don't trade Jawan Jennings right now, but maybe go get another receiver. How about I saw, Bleacher Report had a whole list of, 32 trades for one for every team in the NFL. And one of the trades they had was that that the Packers would trade Romeo Dobbs to a team for like a 7th-round pick. And when you look at the price tag that the Commanders got for Brian Robinson, a 6th-round pick. I mean, these prices are very reasonable. Brian Robinson, a starting NFL running back for a 6th-round draft choice, that's pretty damn good. If I could get Romeo Dobbs, let's just say that was the price. It was a 7th-round pick. But the Green Bay said, hey, for the Niners, we want a 6th or a 5th. You know what? I think in the Niners' current situation, I might be willing to do it. Just simply because you add a player like Dobbs, and now you've got, a receiver that is, he's an NFL receiver. I mean, and he's from Nevada. He's free agent at the end of the year, just like Brian Robinson. But Green Bay has a ton of receivers, and they're going to cut somebody loose. Somebody's going to get cut there who's pretty good. There's other guys at the cut down, rookies. I mentioned Elijah Badger, Mario Williams, Giles Jackson. I mean, there's a number of guys around pro football, but these are rookies. And some of these guys are undrafted rookies. So it's like, it's really, you're really going to have to catch lightning in a bottle. And you would think that if those guys were that special, they probably would have made the teams that they're on. Right. So I understand that. But I mean, how are we supposed to interpret this from Jennings? You effed around with the wrong dude. Hope you're next and be great. All right. I think we're back. We're back now. For some reason, can you guys see me now? Testing, 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 testing. Um, can you guys just drop Larry drop that wireless? Uh, Having a little technical issue.
Are you start refreshing or not?
I think people. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Everything good? He's back on. I'm back on. Can you see me? Can everybody see me? Okay. EB says, okay, you're live. Okay, we're live and we're good. Sorry about that, guys. We were on the wrong Wi-Fi and we had some technical issue. But anyway, the whole thing with Jennings, it's like, you know what? He's not the kind of guy that you want to have unhappy in the room. It's just really as simple as that. He's got a really powerful presence. He's a leader in the room. They love him as a player, but they don't want to extend him. It's as simple as that. And then the question is, it's like you don't want to extend him. And I get it. It's like you can't just extend everybody. If you extend JJ and you don't extend McKivitz, then all of a sudden you get the offensive lineman potentially mad. So that's not good. And it's just, it's a tough one. It's like, if you do extend him and you don't extend McKivitz, maybe you've got some unhappy guys in the locker room. If you don't extend JJ, then maybe he's unhappy in the locker room. This is, if you say what has happened to the 49ers in the last few years, I mean, obviously the injuries have been a factor and the erosion of the roster to some degree has been a factor, but I think in addition to that is, the curse of me. Everybody wants to get paid. Everybody wants to get taken care of. And once everybody starts thinking about themselves, it's hard for the team's concept to kind of rule the day. JD joins us. JD, we were having some technical difficulties. Can you hear me loud and clear?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? What's going on tonight?
All right. I can hear you. Awesome. I'm glad that you can hear me. So yeah, we lost a little connection, but we're back. Yeah, I was just saying about the Jennings thing. I mean, you saw you're the one actually who showed me the social media post. We were looking at it in the pregame as we were having lunch. What do you make of him quoting Offset with some lyrics and it doesn't sound like he's happy. And then there's been rumors tonight during the game. There are people suggesting that there is something of significance coming at wide receiver. I don't know if that means that JJ is getting an extension, or he'll be here, or he'll be traded, or they're going to trade for somebody else, or they're going to add another receiver. I don't know what to make of it, but it's pretty obvious that they're pretty thin in the receiver room, and they need every available receiver they can get their hands on. What do you make of what JJ put out there on social media? What do you make of the rumors that maybe some big announcements coming in at wide receiver?
Well, it's coming to a head. I think that's the number one thing that we can all agree on, with the roster cut down coming up on Tuesday and some decisions that are going to have to be made as to how they fill out the 53, the initial 53. And the first game's 2 weeks from tomorrow. The first game is 2 weeks from tomorrow at 1:05 up in Seattle at Lumen Field. And so it's been discussed, and I can sense Kyle Shanahan's frustration every time he gets asked about it. He got asked about it a couple of times in the postgame press conference tonight about both the injury and just kind of the timeline. And you can see it's bubbling up. And as far as the social media post goes, I mean, for me, it's an indicator. It could be nothing. It could be absolutely nothing, number one. But I also think Jennings is kind of playing the Ayuk role here from a year ago, where it might be nothing or it might be everything. It might be nothing, or it could be Juwan Jennings basically saying, look, you messed with the wrong dude. Hopefully the next dude you get on your squad is going to be great, because I'm out in some form or fashion, meaning trade request or not going to play because I'm hurt. And, that's because we were talking about it too during lunch. I think this is a good way to kind of kick it back to you. It's, if Jennings is deemed healthy, this thing is all coming to a head here very soon, because the 49ers, if deemed healthy by the doctors, can demand he play. Otherwise, they start taking game checks away from him if he refuses to play, for contract related purposes. But what muddles the whole thing is he's got an injury, and it's a documented injury, and people are on record right now acknowledging that it is a legitimate injury. So if Jennings doesn't want to play because he doesn't have the deal, but could be out there as this injury heals, but is kind of choosing to use the injury as a means to not play and still get paid, then I think that's another layer here as everything just bubbles toward the surface, with a couple of days to go until the cut down and a couple of weeks to go now before the first game. And yeah, the Niners are dreadfully thin at the wide receiver spot. I mean, who would their 2 and 3 be right now in terms of who's available? I mean, Robbie Chosen and Sky Moore after Ricky Pearsall, by the way,
who's not the most durable guy,
is the number one though, and the only healthy and semi-productive, projected player on the I was telling somebody else. I mean, this is kind of a sidebar, Krug, but I was telling somebody else tonight. I said, hey, the Niners. I don't know if the player exists, but they need to try to find the Brian Robinson of the wide receiver market.
Yeah,
right now.
No doubt.
Is a good player that another team kind of wants off of because they have other good players, and you can trade a back into the draft pick to get him in, and he can come in. And because Kyle said it of Robinson after he said, we brought him in to be RB2. We brought him in. He flat out said, this guy's our 2. And, Isaac Guerrero and everybody else can just deal with it. Brian Robinson's the number 2. They need to find that guy. If it's not going to be Jennings, in my mind, for the first 3 to 5 weeks of the season, if Jennings is not going to be a part of this thing.
Well, I think it's a great point by you. I mean, you're right. I mean, it's like, okay, so I'll throw a few names out there. On the KNBR postgame show, Todd Husak was like, go get Terry McLaurin. Okay. But Terry McLaurin's very costly.
More money than Jennings by a lot.
More money than Jennings. I mean, but maybe you'd move Jennings in that deal. There's also Tyreek Hill. There's been an awful lot of Tyreek Hill rumors out there. I mean, if you can't come to any kind of a common ground with Jennings, do you move off of Jennings and combine him with somebody else and see if you can go after a guy like Tyreek Hill? Those are the guys at the top of the scale, right? Those are the guys that are making big cake. All right, then there's free agents, right? There's Amari Cooper. There's Gabe Davis. I was just talking to John Feliciano. He says he talks regularly to Gabe Davis and that Gabe Davis worked out for the Niners earlier. He had a workout recently with Pittsburgh. He's only 26. I mean, he's a good receiver. I said, what do you think of him? How do you look at him as a receiver? And he's like, I kind of think he's another version of Juwan Jennings. He can make plays down the field, but he's also very reliable. He kind of steps up in the big moments. So that was a name he threw out. But I'm looking at the rest of the league. The Jets are supposedly going to cut maybe Alan Lazard or Malachi Corley. Robert Saleh just drafted Corley, last year in the 3rd round. Now, I'm not saying Corley's great, but at this point, beggars can't be choosers. I mean, you're looking at Robbie Chosen and Junior Bergen. I mean, all these guys are better than those guys. Houston's got Christian Kirk. Green Bay's got Romeo Doubs. Tennessee, you could trade, either Calvin Ridley or if you wanted to go young, you could try to go for the Alec Amanor, the Stanford kid. The Indianapolis Colts have Alec Pierce, and he's a free agent at the end of the year. He might not be a bad receiver. What do you think of Pierce from Cincinnati, who's playing for the Colts?
All the names that have been mentioned, the guy that I like the most is Gabe Davis, because I feel like Gabe Davis is the most talented. I think he's the most talented player. Obviously not Tyreek Hill or McLaurin. I'm throwing those two in their own category. Those guys are obviously
expensive,
elitely talented, but I think far too costly at this point, especially Tyreek Hill. But I think Gabe Davis is the one guy out of all of those, when you separate the top 2 that you mentioned, that is talented enough, but also not going to completely break the bank, considering the fact, like, he's got the most talent for the potentially most cost-effective price point. I think, like, who can you spend the least on and get the most from? I feel like of all those guys would potentially be Gabe Davis, because I think what they need here's what they need. And maybe you can pluck a name or two out of the group if I ask it this way. They don't need somebody that's as good as Brandon Ayuk or Demarcus Robinson or Juwan Jennings or even what Ricky Pearsall projects to be. But they need somebody a lot better than everybody else. I mean, than Robbie Chosen and Gage and they and Sky Moore and the other young guys that are hurt now. Cowing, who's going to be, Cowing's basically done. Kyle said that, and I mean,
I
he
don't
said
have a whole
6
lot of hope
weeks
for Cowing.
on a hamstring. He's done. Like and I don't mean done. He's done in terms
Done
of
for a
being
while.
a factor this year. Like he's done. Like he may be healthy enough to come back in 2 months, but he's done for the year. Like Jacob Cowing's not going to be healthy enough to come back, on November 1st and then make an impact between November and January. That's done.
Not happening.
Yeah, that's so. But somebody that's
And
better than
he's kind of weak. I mean,
he's
he
never
didn't do
done
anything.
anything.
Yeah,
He's never done it. I mean, Jordan Watkins has done more in 3 weeks of training camp than Jacob Cowing had done in his entire NFL career. So
that's probably the answer. That we're talking about all these other names. It's probably Jordan Watkins,
but he's going to be out.
He's going to be out, and he's a rookie. I mean, you're going to put that much on a rookie wide receiver, and that's but
it's somebody that's done something in the league like Robinson and Jennings and Ayuk specifically have done. It's somebody that maybe isn't as good as them, but has done something in the league and is clear-cut better than the rest of that group. And again, I just keep coming back to Gabe Davis, but I think there's a few in that.
Yeah, I mean, Gabe Davis, if he's healthy, would be really nice, really nice. I threw out Romeo Doubs because I think Doubs is really interesting to me. He's from Nevada, and I think he played at Nevada. He might be willing to sign here beyond this year because he has some Western ties. I also really like Doubs as a receiver. I've always felt like he's kind of underutilized in Green Bay because they've always had other guys and they've never really gone to him. But I kind of feel like, they wanted Christian Watson to be great, but he hasn't been great. But Doubs has been better. So I like Doubs. I don't know, I can't picture that, first of all, people are like, well, I mean, I was like, hey, go trade for Brian Robinson, right? As far as a running back earlier this week. And a lot of the pushback I was getting, JD, were from people going, dude, Krug, pull your head out of your ass. They're not going to trade, Brian Robinson in the conference to and I'm like, okay, I mean, I guess, but I mean, I'm thinking the Niners traded Charles Haley to Dallas. I mean, we've seen, I mean, the Eagles traded Bryce Huff to the Niners. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I've heard don't trade in the division. I don't know about in the conference, but that there are some people that are like, hey, in fact, Dieter and I have gone back and forth. Dieter's like, hey, Green Bay's never trading Doubs to the Niners. And I kind of agree with them, to be honest. It seems like they wouldn't want to help the Niners, but why would the Commanders want to help the Niners?
Well, I don't think the Commanders when you're done with a player, and I think the Commanders, for whatever reason, are done with Brian Robinson. Like they feel like they have 3 better options on their roster, and he just doesn't fit. And they have the year that they had last year. Like I think the Commanders kind of look at the Niners as like they're not a threat. Like I think fans tend to look at it as like, well, why would the Commanders want, Robinson might mean that the Niners end up being better than the Command. Like I don't think the teams don't fear other teams like that if they have their S in order, so to speak. And I think the Commanders feel like they have enough of we'll see. I mean, they've got their own issue, but I issues with McLaurin and we'll see how they bounce back off of a year that was unexpected to get all the way to the NFC Championship game. But I just think teams that believe they're have it in order and are well run, they don't fear stuff like that. I don't think the Packers would have any trouble if they were done with Romeo Doubs. Now Matt LaFleur had said this week, I don't know if you saw it, but he came out and said straight up, we're not trading him. Now, coaches say that, and sometimes it's true, and sometimes it's not true. But
they've had injuries themselves, so maybe he's being honest. But at the same time, count. All we have to do is count. I mean, Green Bay has 7 or 8 true NFL caliber receivers. Are they going to cut Golden, who they just drafted in the first round? No. Are they going to cut Savion Williams, who they just drafted in the third round? No. And then there's other guys. I mean, they have Dontavion Wicks. They've got, Jaden Reed. I mean, and almost every single one of their guys, you would say, are they trading that guy? No. Are they trading this guy? No. So it's like, but we know this, they're not going with 8 wide receivers. And, I know they've had some injuries, but it does make Doubs is the guy that's most heavily rumored to be moving. But he may not, they may have changed their tune on him, or they may just be saying to everybody else, hey, look, if you really want him, we're not giving him away. It's not a Brian Robinson situation, but if you want to come make us an offer, maybe we'll listen. There's other players. I mean, Carolina, they're saying he may shop Adam Thielen. But Minnesota, they say a lot of people say he's going back to Minnesota.
Yeah, I like Thielen.
The Raiders are probably not going anywhere. I mean, they have Michael Mayer and they also have Jacoby Myers. And I got to think the Raiders are kind of looking down the Raiders should be looking at trying to put together some kind of cachet of picks just so they can try to find their quarterback of the future in the draft, probably in the next year or two. Then there's New England, who has Kendrick Bourne, but I don't think Kendrick Bourne is going to help these guys. I mean, Kendrick Bourne had ACL, JDE in 2023. I don't think he's been much since that.
Yeah, I kind of think he might be washed or close to it.
Yeah,
at this point, probably not quite there. Of all those names, I like Thielen probably the most. But yeah, Thielen's a Minnesota guy, and went to college there, and I think he may even be from there. And he had time obviously with the Vikings, so there is a thought that maybe the Vikings are really trying to improve their wide receiver core to begin the season as well, even with Justin Jefferson. So yeah, I think sounds like Thielen's maybe going back there, but Thielen would be another capable player. I kind of like Marquez Valdez-Scantling, who's with Seattle.
They're saying he's on the outs.
Cut. Yeah, so if he gets
His
cut,
hands are a little iffy.
Yeah, well, so is Dobbs. I mean, Dobbs' hands are iffy too.
Yeah, Dobbs has a lot of drops.
Dobbs has too many drops. I mean, that's part of the knock on him is the inability to hang on to the rock. But again, you need somebody that is clear-cut better than the rest of that group. And because the problem is the guys that he doesn't necessarily have to be better than are guys that you're not going to have. I mean, you're not going to have DeMarcus Robinson or Ayuk. And now, one way or another, Krug, to me, it's starting to feel like they're not going to have Jennings either. Jennings has sort of been the pivot, like whether he's not on the team or he's pissed off and he's saying he's hurt when he's not. Like this thing has the potential, I think, to get ugly as they head toward the 53 cut down. And like, I just kind of wonder, have the Niners kind of drawn a line in the sand with respect to, hey dude, like, are you, the doctors are saying it's getting close. So what's it going to be? And he's like, nah, I'm hurt. They don't have a contract. He wants the contract. Are we going to get the formal? He's asked for a trade that hadn't happened a month ago. It just feels like it's heading toward this point where, for whatever reason, we know they're not going to have Ayuk. Kyle Shanahan said they're not going to have DeMarcus Robinson because of the suspension on KMBR a couple days ago. And now it feels like they're not going to have Juwan Jennings. So if your only semi-proven wide receiver in the NFL is Ricky Pearsall, like you're hurting. You're at least one short. You're at least one short.
They're at least one short for sure.
To function.
Yeah. I mean, but they're also one significant receiver short because they really do need a significant receiver. I mean, there's other guys. I mean, New York Giants are probably going to cut Jalen Hyatt, who was a high pick. He also went to Tennessee, but I mean, he hasn't done much. Miami, they're saying, maybe Malik Washington could be available. That would be intriguing. He's small, but he's intriguing. Luke McCaffrey could be available from Washington. Christian Kirk from Houston. Those are the names. I mean, those are the names that I've heard. I mean, I guess we could probably think of a couple others around pro football. You think of some of the bad teams that are out there. But I'll say this. I mean, if I had to wager everything that I have on either JJ comes back without a contract and is unhappy in the room, or JJ is traded, or JJ is, just continues to hold out. I mean, without, and uses the calf as an excuse. I would definitely wager they're going to trade him. I mean, Lynch said it the other day. Oh, we love JJ, but then the next sentence he's like, "But you know what? It's getting time to play. It's time to go out on the field." If he doesn't want to play, It does seem like it could get really ugly because it seems like the Niners could say, "Hey, you're healthy enough to play." And then if it starts getting into that, I think the Niners want to avoid all of that
Yeah,
dialogue publicly. Yeah, they
the
don't want any of
dispute of
that.
is he hurt? Is he not hurt? And the
Or
team
just
saying
having a
he's not,
dispute
and
with a
he's
player.
saying he is.
Do you want to have a dispute with a player?
You
Period.
don't, Krug, but that one to me is especially one you don't want to have, where basically a player is saying, I'm hurt, and the team is saying, now get your ass out there, and we're not giving you a contract. Like that to me is among spats and feuds between player and organization. If it plays out that way, that's about the last one you want to have with a player.
It's really interesting. It's really an interesting situation because they found us, I thought they really desperately needed an RB2 and they got one. By the way, there's people in the chat saying a lot of Garendo's done and this and that. What's your take on Garendo's status? There's no doubt that Brian Robinson is here because Garendo, I don't know if he's here because Garendo fumbled 3 times in practice 2 days ago, but he could be here because of that. He might be here because Garendo's disappointing. Where are you with Garendo? Because I will say this. I've said this from the beginning. He's not a running back. And what I mean by that is just he has no running back.
All right, I kept waiting for Larry to blip and come back, so we'll try to get Larry to reconnect here, and I'll give you my thoughts on Garendo.
Oh, there we go.
You froze on us again.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
You froze on us again. I was giving you a second to try and click back in. I wasn't sure if people could hear, but yeah, I understand. It happened before I came on as well. That's right when I was about top in the room. I don't think Garendo's done. I just think he's RB3. And I think, when they went and got Brian Robinson, I know a lot of people were, but they have Garendo. Like, Garendo also can't stay healthy. And if he can't hang onto the rock and he can't stay healthy, and to me, that they had to go get somebody. And, to be able to get somebody as talented as Brian Robinson, I think is important there. So I don't know that he's done. I thought it was interesting. They wanted to get him out there and get him in some game action tonight. I think they like Garendo more as somebody that you can design a specific play or series for here and there, as opposed to somebody that you're basically just going to have your RB2 or have be the guy that is your complement to somebody like Christian McCaffrey. Like, to me, I never felt as if McCaffrey and Garendo were some awesome 1-2 punch where Garendo was going to be the guy that was so good that he was just going to spell Christian McCaffrey, and they were just going to roll with it in that form. So I don't think Garendo's done, Krug, as you get reconnected here.
Yeah.
But he's clearly RB3. I never really viewed Garendo as the 2 and the 1-2 punch, but with McCaffrey and Garendo. And if he is fumbling and can't stay healthy, to me, that's all the more reason. I was saying when you clipped out there, I think the Niners like Garendo as somebody you can feature here and there, specific plays, specific series, as opposed to somebody that's your true number 2. I think they like him a lot better as a 3 than as a 2 when you just look at the pecking order in the rotation.
Matt Mayoko also asked a question tonight, and it was funny. Shanahan gave him an answer like, "Why would you ask?" The question was about Jake Moody. Are you at all nervous about Jake Moody? Jake Moody missed an extra point tonight. And Shanahan's like, well, it's like he had one of his best kicking games ever last week. And I'm like, what? Really? Are we going to pretend that he didn't shank a 26-yarder? It went in, but he shanked it, and he missed an extra point tonight. So, the best thing for Jake is to get on a streak where he makes 15 or 20 kicks in a row. But Where are you with Moody? Where do you think they are with Moody? It seems like they are just absolutely as committed to Moody today as they were at the beginning. And they're like, it's almost like they're pretending not to see that he missed an extra point, or pretending not to see that he totally shanked a 26-yarder last week. They're going with him. They're absolutely going with him. There's no doubt.
Well, he won the job, right? When they got rid of
Yes.
Joseph, at least going into the year. But just because you win the job going into the year doesn't mean you're going to keep the job. I don't think, unless he missed a bunch of kicks in the final couple of preseason games, he was going to be the kicker in Seattle. Like I never thought like he was, missing the extra point tonight. Now, if he had missed two more after he'd missed the extra point tonight, then maybe they're having a conversation. He had the one long miss against the Raiders, and then he had the one that was a 26-yarder that he barely snuck through the left upright there. And then he had three incredible kicks, including multiple 50-yarders and the 59-yarder to win it. So like he wasn't really on thin ice going into this game. And then in this game, he misses the extra point, which puts everybody on red alert, and understandably so. But then he goes out and he makes the rest of the kicks for tonight as well. So you got to be making extra points. But I think here's what I'll also say. He's going to cost him a game, and that's when he's going to be gone. He's going to cost him a game, and that's when he's going to be gone. But I don't know. I know people are frustrated about it. People want him gone, all that. You miss an extra point in the preseason game number 3, even if that's your only miss, and you're out of here. You can't count. I think that's, though, what has people concerned, Krug, is the fact that everybody can kind of see that the cycle is very similar. He makes a few right when he gets up against the brink of, if you miss one more, you're probably gone. And then he makes a few. And then right when you think, okay, he's solidifying it, he misses a PAT. And so he hasn't quite yet just pushed the 49ers over the edge to the point where it's like, all right, dude, you're done. Well, to me, that's going to happen the first time he costs him a game, whether it's missing a couple of kicks inside of 50 that should be made, and they wind up losing the game by that margin of the missed kicks, or he has one to win him a game, a 40-yarder to win him a game, 45-yarder to win him a game, and he misses that one and they end up losing the game. I feel like he is going to cost them a game this year. I really do. And then I think at that point, they're going to say, okay, we're done with it. And they just don't want to mess with cutting him until they actually are absolutely positive, until it actually costs them one more time. They're going to roll with it, I think.
There was a quote this week from Brant Boyer that just made my mouth drop. He literally was like, he's talking about Jake's 59-yard field goal, and he's like, he may have saved his career with that kick. And I'm thinking to myself, wow. I mean, if it's right there, if it's that close to his career being on the line, then that really speaks volumes about where he actually is. We can say anything we want, but if he was one kick away, I mean, if the 59-yarder saved his career, doesn't that seem like hyperbole? Or I don't know. I mean, it's just, obviously they're wishing for him to get on a good stretch. And Niner fans are as well. I mean, they can see that he's got a big leg, but he's just very inconsistent. And it's just like, and then you look at you say, well, you look at Moody, and then you look at Dicker tonight, Dicker, the kicker. And, how money is he? I mean, he was just so unbelievably solid. Like, you feel like he's going to kick everyone through the uprights like for the next month or something. It's just like this. It's like we got a glimpse at what a real big time NFL kicker looks like, and then you've got Moody, by comparison, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating. So we've talked about JJ, we've talked about Moody. Do you have any different vibe tonight after watching Luter and Lucas? Trey Brown. Trey Brown was one of the competitors. He's on IR. And then Shanahan dropped this bomb at the end of the presser, saying that Jacob Robinson had possibly broke his forearm. They're going to do a imaging on it and an X-ray. If that is indeed the case, the race may be over. It may not be Luter or Lucas. It may be Luter and Lucas. You know what I'm saying? They're probably both going to make it now.
I feel like and Saran Neal kind of fits in this as well because he's a safety that can also play corner. So I wonder how he fits into that as it because I feel like they would keep 6 corners, but does Saran Neal count as one of them? Like they can fudge it, I feel like, a little bit. But so to me, Lenore, it's Renardo Green. I thought it was interesting. Renardo Green was playing tonight.
Yeah.
In preseason game 3. Upton Stout. Those are the 3. I feel like Chase Lucas is on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like he is on the team. That's 4. If you count Saran Neal,
Dallas Flowers,
that's 5. I think the final spot to me was Dallas Flowers versus Darrell Luter versus Jacob Robinson. And Jacob Robinson now is out because he broke his arm. And I don't think Jacob Robinson was making the team anyway. Like that's the one I would be out. I think he was done anyway. I think it's Dallas Flowers over. I think it's Flowers and Lucas over Luter. And then if you end up counting Saran Neal as a safety and you can take 6 corners plus Saran Neal counting as a safety who can also play corner, then you have the ability to keep both. But I think Chase Lucas, I know they wanted to get a look at him more on the outside because he's exclusively basically played nickel. He's somebody that's played special teams in the past. To me, it's Lenore Green, Stout, Dallas Flowers, Lucas. And then if you count Saran Neal as the 6th, it's him. Then maybe the extra spot goes to Luter. I've never been a Luter guy. They love Luter. I think you've liked Luter more than I have in the past.
I love Luter. Yeah. I mean, I just love the traits, right? The traits. I mean,
yeah. I don't think he's ever showed it.
I don't think he's ever really hasn't. He's played. He had a good night tonight. I mean, he made 7 tackles or something. Yeah. He made like 5 of them were solo. But the coverage at times, JD, has just been too soft. Just too soft. He's sometimes he's like right there, but he still doesn't make the play. So I don't know how trustworthy he is, but I got to be honest. A lot of the same concerns I have about Luter right now are the concerns that I had about Womack when he was here, which was, he's not very consistent. I mean, Womack didn't even play at all his final year here in the last couple months of the year. He was just walking around the locker room. It was like he wasn't good enough. And now here he is a year later, 2 years later in Indy. And not only is he good enough, he's their starter. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just like I'd hate to see the Niners. It's so hard to find good cover corners. This guy did play a lot of press man at South Alabama. I would be more of the mindset of, hey, Daniel Bullocks, coach this guy up. Coach this guy up. There aren't a lot of 6'2". I'll say this though, the one guy that I was looking at tonight, JD, that I think the Niners may take a look at, believe it or not, is this Trick Bridges for the Chargers. He played corner tonight. He's a 6'3" corner, runs in the 4.3s, who played at Florida, and he's really, really athletic. And yet Chargers have good talent on their roster, and he's probably not going to make it. I might, just based on what I saw tonight, cut Luter and go sign Trick Bridges.
Yeah, I think if you have the extra spot to keep, if you have the extra spot for Luter, assuming the rest of these guys are on the team or somebody else, I'd be in favor of looking at somebody else. I'm not sure they have the luxury though of being able to keep all 6 true corners plus Saran Neal, who's obviously going to be on the team as a guy who can, a special teams guy, but also somebody that's kind of a hybrid safety and corner. What did you think of Renardo Green playing tonight? The need to see Renardo Green get out there a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know if that was him. If I should have asked Shanahan that. Was that all Renardo, or did they just want to put him out there if they didn't have enough numbers or whatnot? He loves to play. I mean, that's for sure. I'm not really sure what to say about that.
Usually the guys that are your guys are not playing tonight.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, a guy like Renardo Green, I mean, are you kidding me? He should not play. The other guy that I think is really interesting, and he had a good play and a bad play tonight, was Jair Brown. And there's an awful lot of loud whispers, from people saying that Jair Brown's going to be traded. I don't know that I would be in a rush to do that. He's another guy that hasn't looked particularly good. So I'd have to make sure I had a better guy to replace him with. But what do you think of the idea? I mean, he saved a touchdown on the special teams play, and then he gave up a touchdown to Rondé Gadsden, where Gadsden beat him pretty easily. So what do you think of? I mean, what do you think of Brown tonight? What do you think of Brown's roster chances for the 53?
Yeah, he was fine tonight. I'm just not sure that the 49ers are solid enough yet at the safety spots to just be able to cast him aside, even if they're potentially unhappy with him, right? So I don't like him in coverage. I just think he's just not a good cover safety. I think he's a hitter. I think he can play the run, he can lay wood, he can do those kinds of things. But if you really make him cover, I feel like that's where he's obviously going to be vulnerable. But just from a roster standpoint, I mean, I'll ask you this. I think the future is clearly Mustafa and Siegel, right? As the strong and free safeties. The Pinnock, I think, it seems like they're pretty comfortable kind of penciling in Pinnock and Siegel to start. Like, are they? And here's kind of how
Pinnock for sure. I don't know about Siegel, but Pinnock for sure.
Well, but here's how I would, and it's kind of been Siegel versus Jair Brown, right? Like, that's kind of how it's been tabbed. I feel like going into like a battle basically between the two. Are you so comfortable with Siegel at the beginning of the year where you would go Siegel and Pinnock to where you would trade Jair Brown before Malik Mustafa is even back? Like that, that doesn't seem realistic to me. That doesn't seem real.
Yeah, I don't think I would trade Jair Brown. I don't
Not
think
now.
I would.
Now maybe when Mustafa comes back and you're sure that Siegel's really good, and you have Pinnock and you have Saran Neal and you have whoever else is in that mix as well.
I think
Richie Grant.
Yeah, I think you got to maintain your inventory, and I think a lot of these decisions have to be guesses by on the Niners' part of who's going to clear waivers and who isn't. So I don't think if you like Darrell Luter, then don't put him through waivers, because I don't think a young, rangy, big-bodied corner is likely to clear waivers. I really don't. Now, some of these other guys who have gone through waivers a few times, Jalen Mahoney, I mean, he's probably going to clear waivers.
He's gone.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I could see the Niners going Brown, Pinnock, Siegel, and Neal as their four safeties, and then cutting Richie Grant, Canteen, and Mahoney, and putting those guys and just, basically last year the Niners went with four safeties, and it was really three from scrimmage and George, what was George? What am I thinking?
Odom.
George Odom, the special teamer. So now it's like basically the same thing. Three safeties and the special teamer, and the special teamer is Saran Neal. And I kind of like Saran Neal's ability to cover better than George Odom, to be honest. So I think he's also a better special teamer. So I think that's I see a 6-corner, four safety situation. The 6 corners being your top 3, Lenore, Green, and Stout, and then Flowers and, let's say, Luter and Lucas. I think that's 5, and then maybe you look outside. I mean, once again, this guy Trickweez Bridges is 4.3 speed and great height, and has had a really good preseason. He had 8 tackles last week and 7 solo, and he looked pretty good. So I would say, he might be a guy, if he goes through waivers, that I would have interest in. So, I mean, let me ask you a couple last ones before we cut this on the roster. Let's just go through the roster real quick. If it can't, do you want to go with 2 quarterbacks, or do you want to go with 3? And if you go with 3, would you rather go with Mordecai, or would you rather go with Bradley?
I would go with 2. I'm hard set on 2. I don't think they have a third quarterback. I don't think either Bradley or Mordecai are worth a roster spot at this point on the initial 53. I'd put them both through. I think Mordecai's better. I think Bradley might have the better traits, the better arm, the better size, whatever, those kinds of things. But I think Mordecai is a better potential emergency quarterback than Carter Bradley. I think Bradley's more of a project, but I wouldn't. It's 2 quarterbacks, hard and fast for me. And Mordecai would be the one that I would pick as my third to try to put on the practice squad.
We have one clip here from Saron Neal that I want to call up here. Here's Saron Neal in the locker room real quick.
About you this week, and he's like, "Hey man, this guy's got Pro Bowl potential as a special teamer. Is he a big key to why you're here?"
For sure. Him and Colt just came from Tennessee. Other special team assistant. They are one of the biggest reasons that I'm here. I was going against both of those guys for years, and they hated me, and I loved them.
That's what he said.
They hated me, but I loved them, and every time they played against me, it's just like they couldn't stop me.
Right.
And they try to double team, they try to triple team me. It don't matter. So coming in here with those guys, I know they will put a huge role on my back, which is okay. So I can carry the special team unit to victory every game. And that's one thing that I love about those guys. Like, they always come to me. They know what I'm about. And one thing, the past couple of years, the special team unit here wasn't all that good.
Right.
So I come in here to do my best to fix that.
So there you go, a little Saron Neal. So he basically, I asked him, "Hey, is Boyer the reason you're here?" And he's like, "Yeah, him and his assistant from Tennessee." So they handpicked this guy. So there are people that don't have Saron Neal on their final roster. He's guaranteed.
He's on the team.
He's on the team. He's absolutely on the team. He's on the team now for sure because of the injuries, but he was on the team before because of the guaranteed 2.25.
He's also versatile. Like, he can he could play a little corner. He's a safety. It's interesting when you were breaking down the safeties, and I agreed with you as you were kind of breaking it down. If they keep 4, because Mustafa goes on he'll be on injured or pup basically, because he hasn't come back yet. So he won't count on the 53 and will be able to come back after the first 4 weeks of the season at some point down the line. So I think if you're counting Saron Neal as one of the 4 safeties, then that would potentially give you an opportunity to keep an extra corner that maybe would allow for Luter to stay or for them to go out and get another player at that position. But yes, Saron Neal is on the team because of the special teams, because of the financial commitment, and because of the fact that he has the versatility to be a cover safety that also maybe can play a little bit of corner too.
I want to play this one other thing here. We have one more.
Because is it just you got to be a great athlete, or is it a mindset?
You want to know the real answer?
Yeah, I really want to know.
Not giving up. No, I'm just playing. Not for real. Not really caring who in front of you. I look at every I look at every opportunity as because I got kids. I got 3 kids. I feel like if another man is standing in front of me trying to take food off my kid's plate, you gotta get out of my way. So that's how I look at it every day. Like, it's a mindset to go out there to let them know, like, you didn't come to play.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting. So basically, he was like, I got kids. I got 3 kids because I got a little boy, I got 2 girls, and I take it very personally. And when I'm out there on the football field, I'm like, if somebody's trying to beat me, they're trying to take food off my kids' plates. And I was like, wow, that's powerful. But you know what? If you compartmentalize like that, I can see where that could be a great motivator for an NFL player. If you're going to, put your the ability to provide for your family, if you're going to put that on the line. Couple thoughts on the roster as we go back to it. Running back, JD, I mean, it seems like, it's funny, a lot of these decisions that the roster kind of make themselves. I kind of see a running back room of CMC, Brian Robinson, obviously Juice, that's 3, Garendo is 4, and is like Jordan James the 5th with Keyshawn Vaughn and Jeff Wilson getting cut? Or does Jordan James start on some injured list and they go with Jeff Wilson? I would love to see the Niners retain their depth and retain their inventory and somehow figure out a way to stash Jordan James so they can keep Jeff Wilson. But I'll say this: I kind of like the running back room. If it's Juice and CMC, Brian Robinson, Garendo, and Jeff Wilson Jr., you could do a whole lot worse than that. And of course, you still have Jordan James, and you got a flyer down the road on Kiner.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would redshirt Jordan James. I'd put him on season-ending IR. Now, I know you got to be careful with that because this is a finger injury, and maybe he could be somebody that could come back at some point down the line. But I would just count on not having Jordan James at all for the 2025 season. To
me, just because of the broken fingers,
you don't. Well, he hasn't been able to show anything. Yeah, like again, it's kind of like Jacob Cowing. Like you're not like for Kyle Shanahan.
At least he practiced though this summer. He did attend training camp where Cowing just was a total nut. He had been hurt all summer.
But here's the thing: you don't get 0 reps in training camp, and then miss the beginning of the season as a rookie, and then all of a sudden come back and be a factor and be somebody you're going to have a roster spot protected for at a position where you never are able to get through a season healthy. I think it's McCaffrey. It's Robinson as the 2, Garendo's the 3. I love Jeff Wilson Jr. as a 4th guy. Juszczyk would be the 5. I would, I would maybe see if you can have Jeff Wilson Jr. be somebody that either Vaughn or Jeff Wilson Jr. could be maybe a veteran on the practice squad because you can keep some vets on the practice squad. And then
you go 4.
I would go with 4. Jeff Wilson Jr. I like over Vaughn, and I would Jordan James. I would just not count. I would redshirt Jordan James, keep him in the program, and I would try to redshirt Kiner also. And you see what happens down the line as it relates to injuries and the like, and if potentially some of these guys would be able to come back.
Yeah. Tight end wise, you going with 4? You going with 2? I kind of think that if you had a better 3rd tight end, and that's the other thing too. It's like, are the Raiders really going to move Michael Mayer? And if they are, if I were the Niners, based on this roster, I would try to get Michael Mayer. I mean, yes, you have Kittle, but Luke Farrell is big and looks like a blocker, but doesn't look like much of a receiver. But then the other guys, Tongas and Braden Willis, are just receivers, and they're not blockers at all. I kind of feel like I'd cut Tongas, cut Willis. If I could make a deal for a Mayer, I think I'd like to have another receiving tight end who also could block. And that I feel like Mayer could do that better than Tongas or Willis. I know he might be hard to get, but I'd be okay with just going with 3 or 2, even if you wanted to steal a roster spot, because I don't think Tongas or Willis, I don't think there's a chance that either one of those guys gets claimed off waivers. So I wouldn't risk. I'd rather go with 2 tight ends and then add Dwelly if I lost those guys on waivers than to go put Tongas or Willis on the roster, knowing that you're probably going to cut a better player at a different position.
Yeah, I think they historically, Krug, have kept 4.
Yeah.
So they are. And I don't think there's any chance they're keeping 4 this time. I think it's 3 this time. I don't think they would do 2. I think they do like Tongas. I think it's Tongas over Willis again, because I think Willis is somebody that potentially could be, he gets through, comes back, has the ability to be on the practice squad. At times, the one thing I will say at times with Willis, Willis has been kind of a backup fullback. So I do kind of wonder if maybe that gives him an advantage over Tongas in terms of just a little bit more flexibility if they ever needed somebody to be in there and play that fullback spot. So I think that's something to kind of keep an eye on there. That Willis did. The other thing is special teams. Willis is out there on special teams as well as Garendo, and on the muffed punt, Willis recovered the fumble on the muffed Charger punt there or in the first half of the game. So if Willis is maybe Willis being a special teamer gives him the edge over Tongas, but I think it's 3 versus 4. I would go Tongas over Willis.
I would too.
And go with those 3.
Tonjes has had some really good blocks as a fullback. How about offensive line? We know they're going to have the 5 starters, but do you go with 3 backups? Do you go with 4 backups? And if so, who are they? I mean, obviously the starters are left to right. Trent Williams, Ben Barch, Jake Brendel, Dom Pooney. And I did talk to Dom Pooney in the press box. I said, "Hey, man, you going to be ready for Seattle?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to be ready for Seattle." So he's trying to work towards it. I think he's going to get there and start in Seattle. Then you got Colton at right tackle, who's had a great camp. So those are your 5 starters. I think you got to have at least 3 backups, but maybe 4. I would go with Colby, probably Burford. I like the way Burford's kind of rebounded. And you know what? I have not been impressed by Hennessy this camp. I would probably go with Nugent. I'd probably go Colby, Nugent, and Burford, and I would cut Zakel. I just think, I know they want to move they want Zakel to make it, and he's a bigger bodied guy, but Nugent has done a better job. He's looked better, and Nugent, I think, can play center or guard. Zakel can play center or guard, but I think just Nugent is a better player. I really do believe that. I think he's had better success this summer than Zakel. Zakel gets bull rushed. He gets beaten by speed or power. I like Burford, Colby, and Nugent, and definitely to go with at least 3. I could go with a 4th, but Prince got hurt tonight, so he's probably out of the mix. Who would be your backup lineman? Are you going with 8 or are you going with 9?
Yeah, I think 9. I think they need to go with 9, in part because they don't have a true swing tackle. That's not Burford. They have 2 tackles. So to me, that means they have Burford and they have Pleasance, so that they don't have a swing. Normally, teams, especially teams that are going to go with 8, would have one guy that would be the swing to play left in an injury situation or right. So I think, and are we assuming Ben Barch is going to be, I guess he's going to have to be on the roster, or is he going to be on some kind of injured list too? Because that potentially could free up a spot.
I could, but I think I think he's trending towards being back.
Okay. Well, then it's Trent, it's Barch, it's Brendel, it's Pooney. We'll count Pooney as being back. But I think Pooney being back also is important in this, because if Pooney isn't going to be back, do you have to keep Zakel or somebody else? So that I think all relates. But I would go the 5 starters: Trent, Barch, Brendel, Pooney, Colton McKivitz. That's those 5. Burford and Austin Pleasance.
Okay, 6, you're taking both.
Yep, 6, 7. Colby, 8. And I'm going to surprise you. I think Hennessy's the 9 to have somebody that can be a center in a pinch. I think
Hennessy's got a lot more experience than these other guys.
Yeah,
I mean, if you had asked me coming into the camp, I would have agreed Hennessy. I just haven't been that impressed by Hennessy this summer, where I think Nugent,
I think they trust him
a little bit better. Yeah, he's got more experience. I mean, he's a legitimate NFL starter. Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, if I didn't know that, and I just was going on what my eyes told me, Nugent's been better than Hennessy in my mind.
Yeah. So I think Moss, Zakel, and Nugent all get cut.
The Zakel one's going to be tricky, man, because they really love Zakel. They've also let him be the 3rd string center. He's also Brock Purdy's best buddy. I mean, that's going to be an interesting one.
Well, if somebody is injured, then maybe you can, if Barch isn't coming back till after the first few weeks, then I mean, those are all the kinds of things that you have to factor in there. But I just don't think, if Zakel can't be your backup center, then I think you have to go with Hennessy. But the other thing that makes it weird, again, is the fact that they don't, if Spencer Burford was a true, or Pleasance was a true, you've said this a lot, they're basically grooming Pleasance to be the future right tackle. So, he's not a true swing tackle either. So you've got one of each. If you had one true swing tackle, either Burford or Pleasance, then I think, at that point you could either keep 8 or keep somebody like Zakel around. But yeah, I'm going 4 backups: Burford and Pleasance with Colby and Hennessy.
All right, let's jump to the defense. 10 D linemen. I guess I'm going Bosa, Elliott, Mikael Williams, West, Collins, Huff. That's 6. Kalia Davis is 7. Sam Aquinu is 8. Then I could have 2 more. I'd take Evan Anderson would be 9, and probably Travis Gibson would be 10, which means Sebastian Valdez would get cut. To me, I watched Valdez on the binoculars tonight. He just gets engulfed. He had a good first game against Denver. He had a good early camp, but I just kind of feel like the more this thing has gone on, the less effective he has been. I don't know. I mean, Givens is going to be start on the injured list. Gross Matos, I'm not sure what's going to happen there because he's
going to be on
injured.
the injured list too. Yeah.
But, Mikal, Elliott, Bosa, West, Collins, Huff, that's 6. Kalia's 7. Sam O is 8. Evan Anderson is 9. Travis Gibson is 10. I guess maybe I could squeeze 11 on and throw Valdez, but I think I'm going 10 unless there's an injury there as far as, West or Collins or Mikal to start on some list. I think you might have to cut Valdez. Where are you on the D line?
Yeah, I think going into it tonight, I had it pegged as kind of Valdez versus Evan Anderson. I think Valdez has had the better camp, but they like Evan Anderson. I don't think Valdez had a great
They're
night
different.
tonight.
Evan Anderson's more of a run stuffer, and Valdez is more of a pass rusher.
Yeah, no doubt. And they've kept Evan Anderson around for a while. And so I think it's going to be interesting. If you're counting 10, do they only keep 9? I think is also a question there.
They could.
The other player in the mix too, I think that deserves some consideration that is Travis Gibson. I think Travis Gibson, I know he's played some, outside linebacker as well, but he's a rusher. He's a pass rusher, and for this team an end. And so I think he's somebody. He played well.
I have him
week.
on. I have him on. He was good tonight. He almost had back-to-back sacks on a play. He had one. He had a sack that was negated by a Niners penalty. But he had a sack on that play, and the play before that, he had a pressure. So I think Travis Gibson, who's wearing number 56, if you watched him, I think he has been more impressive than Garvin, more impressive than Jalen Allen, more impressive than Robert Beal. I know Robert Beal is considered to be a top-tier special teamer, and they like special teams. But, he's a great athlete, but I think Gibson's a better rusher.
Let me count them out, and I'm doing this on the fly. Yeah. I did not pre-prep this. I was going to do it tomorrow. We're gonna talk about it on KMBR on Monday, from 10 to 2. So all right, we'll count them out. Bosa 1. I'm going to keep Jordan Elliott in there now. It was weird to me that Jordan Elliott was playing tonight. By the way, he started. And
this talk that he's like for sure on the team. I think that's bogus. I don't believe that at all. I think
you want him playing tonight. Him playing tonight is an indicator that he's on the bubble.
Yeah, no doubt.
And
he's on the bubble.
And maybe they're considering, maybe not keeping him opens up to your point, keeping Evan Anderson and Valdez. Because you end up with a surprise cut. I'm going to keep Jordan Elliott on though. So Bosa 1, Jordan Elliott 2, Mikael Williams 3. Gross Matos and Givens are going to be injured, so they don't count. West 4, Alfred Collins 5, Bryce Huff 6 for sure. Kalia Davis is on the team, 7 for sure there. I think Gibson's on the team as well, so that's 8. And then I'm not sure about Okawanu. Really? I'm actually not sure.
He's been hurt this summer, so maybe.
Yeah. I'm not. I think Okawanu is they liked him last year. They've liked him. The last couple years, but I think
got to be healthy.
He's got to be healthy. So I think Valdez Anderson, Okawanu Valdez. I would probably I'd put Gibson on there, Okawanu, and I would go Valdez over Anderson and make Anderson a cut. If it comes down to Valdez over Anderson, I would go Valdez. So that would be, and I would say I think Beal gets cut. But if Okawanu doesn't make it, maybe Beal does, or you keep Valdez and Evan Anderson. I think those are the decisions that would potentially have to be made there. But yeah, I would probably keep Okawanu, but he's not a lock. I would keep Valdez over Anderson, and that would be my 10, with Gibson being included.
How about linebacker? First of all, what do you think of Nick Martin tonight? I mean, it's
really
just,
good. He's coming along.
He's so fun to watch. I mean, he's just an electric player. What do you have? 8 tackles, and they were almost all in the second half because Surratt had 10 tackles at halftime, and he wound up with 11. Martin wound up with 8 tackles, 6 solo, a TFL, and a PBU. Nick Martin is awesome, man. I mean, he's fun to watch. He's electric.
I mean, look at the growth from 2 weeks ago tonight, where he's flying around, but he's just flying around, and he's in the wrong spot, and he gets to the right spot, and he's got the wrong angle, and he overshoots it, and he just that would be my thing on Nick Martin, and I know you love him. But look at the growth, because we know he's talented. We know he's going to be a starter. It's just a matter of when. It's not a matter of if for me. It's a matter of when. Even with D Winters, earning the job, I think at least early in the year. But I think you just look at the growth in the last 2 weeks. Look how more comfortable he looked tonight as opposed to 2 weeks ago tonight against the Broncos. But yeah, I'll run through it quickly here. Just in terms of the linebacker room. Yeah. Martin definitely having the ability to come along here. Obviously we know for the Niners, it's going to be Warner and Winters on the team. Gifford is obviously on the team. Let's see. Gifford's on the team. Nick Martin's on the team, those 4. I think Bethune's on the team. That's 5. And then the question becomes, 5 versus 6. I think Surratt is kind of the question there. If they keep 6 linebackers, I think it's Surratt. I think it's Warner, Winters, Gifford, Bethune, Nick Martin. Those 5 are on the team. If there's a 6th spot and it comes down to special teams, I think it's Chaz Surratt. But they like Curtis Robinson, who had the pick 6 tonight.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Graham's done.
Yep.
And so I feel like it's Surratt or Curtis Robinson for the 6th spot, but I think it goes to Surratt for special teams.
I have linebackers. I have Winters, Warner, Martin, Gifford, Bethune, and the Niners picking up 1 off the street.
Okay.
Because I like Chandler Martin from the Ravens, and I like Eugene Asante from the Dolphins. I think those guys are better than these other guys. Now I love Bethune, and he's on the team.
Yeah.
But I think Surratt clears waivers. I think Stone Blanton clears waivers. I actually think Curtis Robinson clears waivers. I think all 3 of those guys wind up clearing waivers, and I think a couple of them get re-signed to the practice squad. Probably Surratt and Curtis Robinson, but I definitely could see them clearing waivers where
they love Curtis Robinson just as a guy and a teammate.
They love him. But how many special teams linebackers can you keep? To me, you can keep 1, and
I think it would be Surratt.
Only do special teams, but isn't it going to be Gifford, because Gifford got the money?
Well, I think, yeah. I mean, Gifford for sure. I mean, I think he's in a different. You're right. You're probably right.
He's the special team linebacker.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all beauty in the eye of the beholder. It'll probably be, as you said, it'll probably be the Stanford guy, Curtis Robinson. I just think that Curtis Robinson, also could be a great special teams player. If you're going to take somebody off of like Baltimore wants Chandler Martin on their practice squad. Miami wants Eugene Asante on their practice squad. The only way you can get those guys is if you put them on the active roster. But I would, because I think they're right there with Nick Martin as young, fast linebackers that can make plays. And I think you need guys like that. How concerned are you about Upton Stout and the fact that he's got a calf that, who knows? I mean, I hope it's a calf. I hope it's not an Achilles, but I mean, he hasn't played in a while. I thought they said he was coming back, that he didn't come back. Because if they don't have Upton Stout, in a lot of ways, their whole back end plan is screwed, because the whole plan was to take Lenore from the nickel and put him outside, because you had a guy like Stout that you could plug in. If you don't have Stout, it's like Chase Lucas time as a starter, and I don't even know who the backup would be.
Or you move Lenore in, and
right,
or you move Lenore back inside, and then Chase Lucas would at that point be a backup, and then maybe you're playing Dallas Flowers. And Renardo Green on the outside, and Lenore moves inside, and then Lucas kind of becomes a backup. If you want to move Lenore out, maybe you put Lucas in. You could go. You could. I think you'd cobble it together if Stout is unavailable, or you don't think he's quite ready coming back as a rookie potential starter. I think you cobble it together with either Lucas at nickel or Lenore at nickel with Dallas Flowers on the outside. I think that's how they would try to get by. To answer your question, yes, I'm concerned. I'm always concerned. I mean, Stout looked great. He looked like, wow, this kid's a starter immediately, like day one, and then he gets hurt. I'm always concerned when rookies wind up missing half a training camp, and then there's an expectation that they're going to contribute, let alone be starters. Now, Upton Stout, I think, is that good. Like, I'm not writing him off like I'm writing off some of the fourth string, fifth string running backs or fifth and sixth wide receivers. If you're the fourth or the fifth string running back or the fifth or the sixth wide receiver, and you're a young player and you're hurt and you miss half a camp, you're done, basically, with the exception of Jordan Watkins. But I think if you look at corner, Upton Stout was that good to where when he gets healthy, I think there will be a role for him. But I also think that's another one of these indicators. Not that Stout can't be ready for Seattle, but the question of it right now means that the Niners have to keep Chase Lucas on the roster, on the 53. And let's also understand Chase Lucas is earned. He had a great preseason and training camp. Chase Lucas he went from bubble, in my mind, to on the team.
He's probably had as impactful a summer as almost any player, offense, defense, or special teams. He really has been.
And and teammates love him. They love him. He's infectious. He has the most positive, infectious, one of the guys cursing up a storm, just talking mess to everybody, but in a likable way.
Right.
He's one of those guys that, like, opponents hate playing against, but you love having on your team.
There's an expression for a guy like this. He's a JYD, he's a junkyard dog.
Yeah.
That's what he is. He's a junkyard dog, and he will talk trash. When the Broncos rolled in, they had a gigantic safety, JD, named JL Skinner. And Lucas went right up to him and was just barking in his face, and those guys were going toe to toe. So yeah, Lucas ain't afraid for sure. But and he made more plays tonight. It'll be interesting to see how the cut down goes on that front. Let's hit some supers and we'll bolt for the door. It's almost midnight, and it's time for us to start that long trek back to the creek. All right, here we go. We got this one. Michael's in the house. He says, cut your losses with Moody. Admit you missed. I don't think it's going to happen. If JD and I think it's going to happen, it's not going to happen before week one. It might happen in the midst of this season, but we're not there yet.
It's more likely than not to happen in the midst of the season. It's not happening before week one.
We got send this one. Send JJ to Dallas for their kicker.
Yeah. Brandon Aubrey.
Yeah. Could you imagine that? I'd do that in a heartbeat.
He kicked a 64-yarder today, by the way.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Who was the guy? Was there some guy for Jacksonville named Little who kicked a 70-yarder?
Was it Jacksonville or the Panthers?
I thought it was Jacksonville. This guy's name's Little.
Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
Say when Nick Wright and Colin Cowherd are going to eat their words when Purdy balls out with this wide receiver group. Did you see Cowherd throw a loaded question at Cosell, and Cosell slapped it down?
Ooh.
Did you see that?
He loves to slap it down. I did not.
So basically, Cowherd it was started this whole thing about, Brock Purdy was, 1-6 against blah, blah, blah quarterbacks. And
Cosell hates any kind of,
he
is super
that.
sensitive to any kind of discussion that isn't backed by tactical video tape breakdown. He does not like any kind of podcast fodder, radio show fodder, YouTube channel fodder. Hates it all.
He doesn't like the people that try to throw the record on the quarterback, and it's just like too simplistic. And, but he has, let me see if I can call it up here. I saw it the other day. It's on Coach Yak's Twitter, but Coach Yak tweets so many things, and it was from the other day that it's so buried in here, but I want to see if I can get it for you because it's unbelievable. I mean, Cosell just took the comments from Cowherd and just gave him such a complete answer that shut up Cowherd, that Cowherd didn't even try to fight it. He's just like, I wish J-Mac had been here. He's like, if J-Mac had been here, it would have been something. Oh, I guess I won't be able to find it. Oh, yeah, here it is. Wait, is this it? Yeah, here it is. Here it is. Oh, this is unbelievable. All right. Check this out, JD. You're going to love this one. This is incredible. Here is Colin Cowherd trying to lead Greg Cosell to make a point, and then Cosell just pushes back. Here it is.
So, Brock Purdy.
Hold on. Turn the volume up. Let's see. I think we got this.
I could hear it.
You could hear it?
I could hear it when it started.
Purdy, when the roster was younger, healthier, less brittle, was a really, really good quarterback. Last year, roster gets beat up. He's 1-6 against playoff teams. Now, right now in camp, their wide receiving core is in complete shambles, and they open up against a pretty lively, athletic Seattle defense up in the Northwest. That's a tough opener. So when you looked at film last year of Purdy, going 1-6 down the stretch against playoff teams, was it that he couldn't make certain throws? Was it that the yards after catch were limited? Like 1-6 from Purdy kind of jumps out at you when you look at his early success. Now, without Christian McCaffrey, it's a different offense. But what did the film say about Purdy last year when he had to start games with a patchwork group around him?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Purdy because last week I watched 250 dropbacks of Purdy over a 2-day period. Purdy is a really good quarterback, Colin. The thing with Purdy is he's not Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes. He's not necessarily the kind of quarterback, even though he does have mobility, that's going to make those kinds of plays by himself that we think of, that a Mahomes makes, an Allen makes, a Lamar makes. He certainly doesn't navigate the pocket the way a Joe Burrow does. But in terms of being what we call a post-snap operator, in other words, when he takes the snap, he has such an intuitive feel for what he sees, and therefore he's a really, really good timing and anticipation thrower. It's just innate to him. He sees it really quickly. So Purdy is a high-level post-snap operator. He's a really, really good player. It gets to that old question of how many quarterbacks, Colin, and you can go back years and years, are really great when their team's not very good. I mean, that's, Purdy is a really good quarterback. He's just not a dynamic athlete who's necessarily going to make those kind of special plays on his own. But as a pocket quarterback, he's pretty high level.
Boy, too bad Jason McIntyre's not on the show today. He'd be doing backflips after that.
That's pretty funny.
What do you think? I mean,
yeah. I mean, I think I don't really have an issue with where Cowherd was trying to go with it. I don't really have an issue with Cosell's breakdown. I mean, it's funny. I anticipated a much surlier Cosell and not. I mean, he basically said, yeah, he's not elite, but he's really good when everything functions and you have good players around. Like, I don't think he said anything crazy. Like, he kind of said what you or I think. Like, he's not one of the top. He's not a top 5 to 8 quarterback, but when he has a lot of talent around him and the scheme is there and everything's working, he can perform like one. even if he physically isn't one, if that makes sense.
I just love how he's just like, hey, Colin, Brock's a really, really good quarterback. I mean, it's just like, and we don't get to see Cowherd's face while as he's saying it.
Well, he is. He is a good quarterback.
He is
like,
a good quarterback. He is a
yeah.
good quarterback. Let's hit a couple more of these supers and we'll get out of here. Let's see. We got that one. Do we get the, we got this one. We got this one. We got that one. Okay, I don't think we got this one. This might be a hot take, but if we're only keeping 4 running backs, I think slots 3 and 4 should go to Wilson Jr. and James. I like Garendo, but he seems to get hurt quickly. Best ability is availability. You're not cutting Garendo. I don't think Garendo's too big, too fast. They're not going to cut him.
Well, it was. They're not going to cut him, but it was a little weird, and weird's not the right word. It was notable to me that Garendo was getting so much run tonight, especially early. It could just be the numbers game of there's so many guys out and somebody has to take the carries, and he's been hurt, so you want to get him live reps probably in game. But it was peculiar for Garendo. I think is somebody that coming into training camp, I would have viewed as, wow, the Niners are super freaking high on Garendo. They love Garendo, him and McCaffrey. And with training camp officially over after tonight's game, I feel like, yeah, they like him, but they don't love him. And they definitely think he's a 3 and not a 2, but I don't think he's getting cut.
Yeah. But I mean, Shanahan, I think I love the fact that Shanahan said that Brian Robinson is their 2 running back, because bottom line is they needed a 2 running back badly this year, and to get one here I thought was big. Whippersnapper says, Larry, are we getting smashed by the Seahawks? Well, it's hard to say. Seahawks have looked good in the preseason. The Seahawks defense, I think, is going to provide a challenge to the Niner offense for sure. I think Mike McDonald always does, but Purdy's kind of had ownage on the Seahawks. I think the Niner defense might be able to stand up. I'll say this though, and I hinted at it last week to Robert Saleh, and I will ask him more concretely when I talk to him this week. Get ready for the Seahawks to try to run it down the 49ers' throat. Seattle was one of the worst running teams in pro football last year. They have dedicated themselves to running the ball. They got rid of Geno. They went and got Zabel. They ran the ball almost 50 times against Kansas City last week for well over 200 yards. They've gone 2 games in a row, JD, where they've averaged over 5 yards a carry. They are going to come into this game with the Niners' new defense and their young defensive linemen and their 6 or 8 new starters on defense and all these new coaches. And they're just going to try to dominate the line of scrimmage and just run it down the Niners' throat. And if the Niners aren't prepared for it, they could be gutted and embarrassed in week 1. So just get ready for that. Get ready for a big dose of the run game.
Yeah. Go ahead.
One last one here. Say When says, if he can't hold the rock and stay healthy, I would rather have Wilson, Jeff Wilson on the team. Yeah, I hear you, but I mean, you're going to cut Garendo for Jeff Wilson? I mean, that would be tough to do. JD, we'll wrap it right here. We've got 2,120 people watching, and I appreciate all you guys. If you guys could do us a favor, hit like and subscribe. If you hit like, that just helps the algorithm. More people will find the stream. If you hit subscribe and hit that notification bell anytime we go live, you'll get a notification that ding, and you can jump in. Also, thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles, my good friend Anthony Catania. Also, thanks to our good friends Claw Daddy Arcades. They're a great follow on Instagram at @Claw_Daddy_Arcades to find a location near you. And of course, Pig in a Pickle. Check them out. Emeryville, Corte Madera. Great barbecue. You'll love it. If you're watching us live on YouTube, once again, do us a favor, smash the like button, hit subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell, and make sure it's turned on so you never miss a show. And remember, when the live stream wraps, you can catch the full replay anywhere you get your podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever your favorite platform is. You just search The Krug Show, and you'll find us. JD, it's a Saturday, so that means that tomorrow we are both off. What will you be doing with your off day? I mean, you and I are probably the hardest working guys in the biz, but off days are always nice and appreciated. You got any plans?
They are. No specific plans tomorrow, which is beautiful. It's kind of catch up on my 53-man roster protection. No.
Girlfriend.
Laundry, yes. Laundry,
barbecuing.
girlfriend, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, just try to have a relaxing Sunday, have a few drinks, not lock in on a lot of the things that we've been so locked in on here really for the last month because, well, why? We're back at it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I mean, that's, it doesn't slow down with the roster cuts and whatever the heck's going on with Jawan Jennings as it relates to the Niners as well.
People ask me a lot, about what your status is going to be as far as, I know you cover the Warriors, but will you be traveling, covering Niners this year? What's the game plan for your coverage of 49er football?
Yeah, I will be hosting on KMBR for all of the away games this year. I'll be on pregame and postgame with Adam Copeland before and after every game on the Sports Leader, all the away games. And I will be traveling. Seattle is booked. New Orleans is booked. LA is booked. Those are the first three on the docket. And beyond that, it's, I believe, Tampa, Houston, and New York are the next three. But the plan is, as long as they're in it, I'm going to be there.
Awesome.
And yeah, we'll figure it out around all the Warriors stuff as well. Got a Warriors trip coming up for their opener is going to be in LA. So I'm going to be in LA toward the end of October there for that. And so, yeah, the Warriors coverage never suffers. You know that, but I love covering the 49ers about as much. Those who know that's just kind of how I roll. So looking forward to getting this thing kicked off for real, and we're going to do it. Copes is going to be with me in Seattle up at Lumen Field for the opener, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, you're going to have to make some room for us in New Orleans because Kev and I are going to be in New Orleans, courtesy of Claudaddy Arcades. So we will be traveling to New Orleans. I'm even thinking about maybe going down to Death Valley for Saturday night, the night before Niners Saints, for a little LSU Florida action on a Saturday night. So I may be doing that as well. But
what time is that game?
That's a 6:00 start. Or 6:30 Central, 4:30. It's national TV. It's on ABC. So I've already put in my credential and the whole deal. So I want to go to LSU. I told Kev, it's on the bucket list. New Orleans is on the bucket list. Kev's never been there. He's never been to the Quarter. Imagine how amazing that trip's going to be as we're drinking in the French Quarter.
Oh, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait. Can't wait. That's great. I'll definitely be connecting with you guys.
That will be sweet. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. It is 12:10. We're the only people here, so we will bolt for the door. Everything's gone. Everybody's gone. That's what happens with preseason game number 3. I told my wife when I walked out the door today at 1:15, I said, honey, I'll probably be home right around 1:15. And I don't know if I'm going to make it in time. I think I'll probably be even late for the 1:15 arrival. So anyway, that's going to do it for us. JD, you're a lifesaver, man. Thanks for jumping in. For people who don't know, JD also saved me technically because I forgot my dongle. Excuse me? Yes, I forgot. Forgot my dongle, and JD bailed me out. So huge.
Extra dongle guy.
Dude, seriously, you're the man. Anyway, thanks to everybody. Hey, thanks to all you guys. I mean, it's midnight West Coast. That means it's 3:10 East Coast. We got a lot of people on YouTube watching all over the place. So I just want to say thank you to all the people who are hardcore Niner fans who are still with us back east in the middle of the night on YouTube. So I tip my cap to all you guys. Anyway, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to JD. Thanks to all of you guys. I'll be back doing more recaps. We'll recap videos tomorrow, but that's going to do it for tonight. Thanks to JD. Peace. And we'll see you tomorrow on the Crew Show.
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get